Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Tim Travels. Luckily Tim's on vacation. He said it's about 72 where he is today. It is not 72 where I am and probably not 72 where you are, but that's just how things go. I'm actually, today I'm in Springfield, Ohio, which I think is named after the town that Bart Simpson's from. No real big report on Iowa today, or excuse me, Ohio, except that the snow is finally here. I thought it was going to start last night. I was over in Columbus. Had kind of a late unload, and then picked up a trailer. And I'm headed to Chicagoland in the morning. But as I was heading west out of Columbus on 70, started to get into some sleet. And even though I was doing 65, posted speed limit 70, I was doing 65. You know, the FedEx ground dude with the rented trailer, I know that because it said there was some extra lease trailer that said FedEx ground on the back of it. Flew by me, and I'm just like, you know what, I don't see a lot of plows out here yet, salt trucks. I'm just gonna let everybody work their magic, and I'll get back on the road about 02:30, because I got to be up in right off at around Alsip, Illinois by like 9 Central Time. So I think I'll be good, and this is supposed to actually be wrapped up by about 01. So I'll top off my fuel tanks here at the Loves and get on the road. So anyway, today's episode is let me just disclaim the rest of what I'm going to say. My views are not the views of my company, GP Transco. They're not the views of anybody else that works at GP Transco. None of their agents, servants, or employees, or contractors. They're not even necessarily the views of my family. So just want to throw that out there. This is just me, some of my opinions. And believe it or not, what I'm going to talk about today is Black History Month. And you may say to yourself, what the hell is the middle-aged white guy talking about Black History Month for? Well, it's the 15th, which is actually a little bit past the middle of the month. Yesterday was the 14th, so that's the kind of the middle day of the month. But I want to share some stuff that I think relates to the trucking industry and Black history all at the same time. But let me just preface that information by saying that I wish Black History Month didn't need to exist. And the reason I say that is because I don't think of Black history as anything other than American history, or the history of whatever country somebody that was black lived in. Since pretty much the beginning of what we would say is the United States, well, definitely since the beginning of the United States, but even before then, long time before then, there were people that came from Africa, in the United States, as well as all over the Caribbean and stuff like that. So there is nothing that's really happened in U.S. history that hasn't involved people of African descent. So that's why I say I wish we didn't have to have that. But I think it's just an announcement that we've ignored the contributions and sacrifices of people of African descent in creating what we have in the United States today. And so I just want to focus on a couple of people that made significant contributions that if you're in the trucking industry, or even if you just are on the roads, you benefit from on a daily basis. And in one case, you probably have been saved or certainly been prevented from injury by one of these inventions. So the first guy, though, that I want to talk about is a guy named Frederick McKinley Jones. And he was born in 1893, and he was orphaned. And so he went to live in a Catholic orphanage and was taken care of by the priests. But then he just decided, at some point to drop out of school. I don't recommend that, but let's wait till the end of the story. So anyway, he ends up going and serving in a segregated, of course, unit in World War I. Serves in the military, and then he ends up going, getting out of the military, and he goes to Minnesota. And I don't know if he was from there, but anyway, he goes back to Minnesota, and he's a really, really bright guy, and he starts building sound equipment, radio transmitters, just like on his own. And he met a man who was like, man, this guy's really bright, and he got hired to start making sound equipment for the fledgling movie industry. And in 1937, so he has this job, doing sound equipment, audio equipment for the movie industry. But in 1937, it strikes him that it would be a really good idea if trucks could have like a mobile refrigerator with them and could carry stuff and keep it cold. So he invents what becomes the first reefer, the first refrigerated trailer. And in 1940, he gets a patent on that invention. Now, I took patents in law school, and I could tell you from that limited exposure in that course that it is no joke to get a patent. And it probably never was. And patents are so important to American success and the ingenuity that Americans have had, that patents are talked about in the Constitution. And, so this guy not only got that patent, but in his lifetime, he got about 60 patents. So it's not, it's not easy to get one, let alone 60. But anyway, he patented this refrigerated unit on this trailer. And he started a company with the guy that originally hired him to work on stuff in the movie industry. And that company is still around today. And it's known as Thermo King, the company that makes the refrigerated units or refrigeration units for refrigerated trailers, as well as a company that also makes APUs. So when you see the name Thermo King, hopefully in the future you'll think of Frederick McKinley Jones, an African-American orphan who basically had very little education but was exceedingly bright. And I hope you also remember, because I just learned this today, that he's the first African-American to receive a National Medal of Technology. And truthfully, I didn't even know the National Medal of Technology existed, but it sounds like a big deal. And so, when you get meat at the store, or fresh vegetables, or frozen French fries, or the chocolate cream pie, know that it's because a guy like Frederick McKinley Jones had an inspiration, had a the mustard seed of invention that grew into a huge, huge tree. A lot of us make our living hauling reefer trailers. A lot of us also stay warm or cool, as it were, using other products that Thermo King has developed and marketed along the way. So anyway, I thought that was a cool story. And then the other guy that I want to talk about that benefits us, not just as truck drivers, but anybody that drives, and actually anybody that walks too, and I'll get to that in a second, is a guy named Garrett Morgan. Now, Garrett Morgan was the son of slaves, and he was also a very inventive, very entrepreneurial guy. One thing that he invented was a rudimentary gas mask that he originally designed for coal miners and firefighters. You know, he had the ideas like, hey, these guys operate in really unsafe environments, low oxygen, high poisonous gas environments. Let's put together something that they can wear over their heads that will help them. And that invention was the precursor to gas masks that were used in World War I. But the other thing that this guy invented that probably has way more impact on people constantly is the traffic signal. Now, he originally invented the traffic signal to protect pedestrians, okay? He did see an automobile crash, but he invented it so that pedestrians could safely cross streets at busy intersections. And originally, he had a system where it was basically red or green, and then there was a part of it that told a pedestrian that they could cross. But he later added a signal that would tell you that you were about to get a red light. Of course, that's the yellow light. So this invention was patented in 1923. Again, going back to what I said about patents. And the invention, the patent actually, the intellectual property, was sold to General Electric Corporation in 1940, or excuse me, I actually don't know the date that it was sold, but it was sold for $40,000. $40,000. So that was probably not enough money, but it was a lot of money. So that was Garrett Morgan. And those are two guys that, you know, if you're in the trucking industry on a daily basis, you either use or interact with their equipment, things they invented. And these weren't the only things these guys invented, but they're two things that we as truck drivers typically rely upon. So I just wanted to share that with you. I hope that all of us recognize that these African American men were Americans first and overcame obstacles to become really important inventors and, you know, make other people's lives easier. And I hope that you'll take a minute at some point this month to look at the history of some of these, you know, notable African Americans, both men and women. And so, in closing, enjoy the rest of your Monday wherever you are. Stay warm. I know a lot of us are, you know, kind of stuck in places we would like to just be able to move on from just to make a buck, but it's probably better to just hang out and enjoy the show of the snow and be off the roads if you don't have to be on them, you know, especially, you know, down south where they're just not equipped to deal with heavy winter weather. Please, everybody, be safe, and we'll catch you next time on Tim Travels. Bye.